What did I do to sell 102 properties my second year in real estate? Well, stay tuned. I'm going to let you know the different methods or the strategy that I use to do that. So this is Wild Lily Hendy coming to you from San Antonio, Texas and the Rio Grande Valley with eXp Realty. All right, so there's lots of activities that we can do in order to develop relationships and have buyers or sellers. My strength was developing relationships with sellers, getting listings, because the more listings we have and we market, the better known we are, the better we can market or can dominate our market. So my first thing was, hey, how do I get it done? And I've heard from other leading realtors, dominate the market and in training. And so I'm always learning. So one was by dominating my market. And how did I do that? By getting at least 25 listings my first 3 months in real estate and continuing to do that. So by my second year, I had over 50 listings, 52, 55 listings. So I had to hire an assistant, a virtual assistant, to help me with all the paperwork and keeping track of them. So the more listings I got, the more it showed up on the internet. So I dominated my marketing by being the one that had the most signs in my hometown. Again, remember, it was a hometown of 16,000 population, very small town of Mercedes, Texas. So I dominated by having real estate signs throughout my town, all the different streets, by going through for sale by owners and knocking on doors. So secondly, I volunteered in my local community, keep Mercedes beautiful, and I wanted to help beautify my hometown one house at a time. So by volunteering, I met contractors, I met builders, because of volunteering to help an elderly man that lost his home and his wife and pets in a fire. So there I got to meet a builder that built the home for that individual for free. And I was there every day, right? And I met a lot of people. So they got to know Lily Hendy Dominguez and to see my signs in Mercedes. And I came out in the newspaper and on the TV because I was helping beautify Mercedes one house at a time. My hometown had deteriorated terribly. So it was dominating my market. How did I do that? By getting lots of listings. And the listings that I got weren't huge. I became the landlady, the lot lady in my little hometown. That's okay. I put signs over subdivisions, lots, homes, commercial properties. Any listing I could get, I went after it. And fourth, sellers started to contact me because they saw my signs throughout my town. So the more signs I had up, the more exposure I had, the more people got to see me, the more I was on online, social media, Google, people started to search. Oh, who's the realtor in Mercedes? Ah, Lily, right? I saw her sign. She has all these properties. So when we put them on the multiple listing service, when you're a realtor listing properties, you're on the multiple listing service. And that goes syndicated to hundreds of other websites. So I got a lot of exposure. So they started contacting me because I was on Google, right? Through the MLS. I didn't have to do a lot of marketing on my own other than putting up the signs, sending out expired letters, and knocking on doors, right? Talking to the neighbors. So sellers started to reach out to me. So steps 3 and 4, or 4 and 5, was by sellers contacting me because of my signs, sellers contacted me because they saw me online as the realtor in Mercedes. And so you're going to say, well, did you have 102 listings? No. However, I double-sided 75% of my listings. Okay, so one of the subdivisions that I listed had 37 lots. And within 2.5 weeks, the builder that I met while I was volunteering for Beautify Mercedes, one house at a time, all right, and helping the elderly people in the community, he recognized my name and he said, hey, I'm going to call that lady. I met her volunteering. And so he contacted me. He said, hey, I want to see those lots. I hear Mercedes needs housing. So I showed him the lots and gave him some research, introduced him to the city manager or economic development corporation, and so that he could get some benefits. And woohoo, he bought all 37 lots from me. So I double-sided 37 lots. Now you're going to say, well, you can't represent both sides in the state of Texas where I am, right? Well, no, I didn't represent him. I represented the seller who reached out to me because he saw my signs and he was from Mercedes. And it was a group of investors, 5 investors that had the subdivision, had it listed with several other top producing realtors, and they had not sold. So the exposure I had by volunteering, having my signs all over the place, being on the MLS, okay, with lots of listings, gave me a lot of additional exposure. And so I like to talk. I'm reserved, I'm introvert. However, in small groups, okay, I interact really well. So that builder, hey, called me, bought all 37 lots. I represented the seller. He represented himself. I wrote up the contract, okay, and facilitated the closing. Closed 37 deals, both sides. So it was 74 sales, right? 37 representing the seller. And I got the 3% commission from the buyer buying the 37 lots. So that totaled to 74. And the remainder of the difference from 102 and 74 were other lots and other homes and commercial properties. So I hustled, and I really needed at that point to have a virtual assistant to help me with all the documentation. The office where I worked was awesome, and I was very competitive. I wanted to be number 1, and I was the rookie of the year, okay, on my second year of real estate. However, guess how many millions that was for 102 properties? It was 2.66 million, which I have now had students that I tutor to help them pass their real estate license that have sold 103 properties, all right, and did it with 19 million. Why? Because they were in a bigger town, larger price properties. However, it doesn't matter what price you have. The more exposure you develop, the more listings we have, the more marketing we get. So that's the key. One of the keys to succeeding in real estate is listings. Dominate your market, become the listing boss in your back door. Until the next video, this is Wild Lily Handy coming to you from San Antonio, Texas and the Rio Grande Valley.